Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome into this evening's live. It is Monday. If you could hear the steaming, if you can hear the background noise, let me know and I'll get it turned off for you guys. It's just Vincent steaming the floor. So, and it's kind of loud. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully everyone's having a great week, start of their work week. Last night's stream was we did really well on last night's stream. So welcome all the new subscribers, all the new members. It's really good to have some new people around, These old folks, they've been getting on my last nerve. Just kidding. I love my peeps. I love you guys. Thank you guys for returning. If you're a returning Titan, you guys are my people, my peeps. I'm here every night to see you. And if you're new, I am Tanya or TitaniumBuilt, and thank you for joining us tonight. If you guys do appreciate the stream tonight and the content and all of that good stuff, don't forget to hit the like button and try to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. That way you're alerted to all new content that comes out, because we do have new content pretty frequently, like every night. So tonight I was going to do another stream. I wanted to do it on Trinity Prague, but there's only like a little bit of information out, and I wanted to get a little bit more under my belt before I did that live. So we're going to do that stream later this week, and we're going to follow that one up with their Chelsea Grimm stream as well. So, and I just realized I forgot to turn this this heater off behind me. Let me just turn that off really quick, because your girl's sweating. It's getting hot in here. There we go. Sorry, guys. I have a like a fireplace behind me, and it was set so high. So let me fix my chair there. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. So sorry about that. But yeah, if you guys don't mind just taking a second, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all the good fun stuff. We are going to talk about Laci Peterson tonight. I never thought that I would be talking about Laci Peterson on my channel. To be truthfully honest with you guys, I was 18 when all of this happened with her death, with her killing. Someone unalived her and her unborn baby Connor. And we know who's been convicted of that, Scott Peterson, her husband at the time. So we're going to go right into it. I'm just going to get some of my notes here. And what I wanted to do was, I've been doing like a little bit of research into this whole Innocence Project. So before we watch the Nancy Grace podcast or video tonight, don't let me forget to go over that with you guys, because I've been doing some digging, and I'm like, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. And before I get too far into it, let me just see who's in the chat. Cheryl, of course. I love that. If I'm still awake, Ashley says she might be sleeping if she's still on the pain medication. And if everybody, before we do go into tonight's live, because I do have all my peeps in here, if you're watching the replay, just say a little prayer for your girl, because she's going to the dentist tomorrow, and it's the big dental appointment, the biggest one so far. So I'm nervous. So if I seem a little nervous tonight, it's because I'm nervous about tomorrow's appointment. Oh my Lordy. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. Look at all these people. I love that. Welcome on in. I'm trying to get down to the bottom. There we go. Thanks, DM. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jan. I'm a nerve. I'm like, I'm shaky just thinking about it. But they told me today on the phone, before we get started, I'll tell you real quick. So it's my bottom. It's like four back from the four to the front from the back. So it's visible, like when I smile. And, they said that if they can't get the root canal, I swear they told me if they couldn't get the root canal to take tomorrow, they would have to pull it. And I know I wasn't dreaming that, y'all, because I told you guys that. I told you. I remember telling you guys. I tell y'all everything. And they, when I called today to figure out how much the cost was going to be, of course, the day before I call about cost, and I'm like, it's a root canal, and they wanted to do a crown. So I'm like thinking, couple $1,000, or at least $1,200, I was thinking. Well, apparently she said that I called and I left a message because I was too afraid to even talk to somebody. Like my nerves were getting worked up, and I was afraid I was just going to cancel it. So she called me back, and she's like, we only see you on there for a root canal and a crown, and everything seems no extraction, no, if there's a problem, none of that in there. So she said it was covered through my insurance. And I'm like, this all sounds really great. So we're going for it tomorrow. We're going to go do it. We're just going to do it. So if you guys will know if I need some time off of it, if it's real bad, the pain's real bad. But I just want them to get rid of there's an infection that's going towards my metal face plate. So if it hits it, then we have to take that face plate out and put a new one in, and we're not going backwards. We're not doing that. That means that would require me having my mouth wired shut for 6 weeks or 8 weeks again, and I'm not doing that. So I'm just not. But we'll go ahead and get into the case now instead of my teeth issues. I don't know what it is, though. I feel like everybody's got some teeth issues when it comes to YouTube, but mine are from accident related, and they're just not getting any better. And I mean, like, Vincent's like, your teeth look so white last night. I was like, no, they don't. They're horrible. He's like, no, they look beautiful. And like, I wasn't even, he didn't even hear me like say anything about, like, I didn't say anything about my teeth. And he gave me the compliment. So yes, her poor parents. That's what, okay. So Scott Peterson is, in my opinion, guilty as, the days are long. Not right now. They're kind of short, but you know what I mean, in the summer. So we're going to read the key updates, and we're just going to go over the timeline really quick in case there's anybody that needs caught up. I know myself, I watched this. I was a senior in high school. My dad had CNN on all the time in our house, but especially when it was a high profile case, you didn't turn the channel. Like, he would either be recording it on like VHS or whatever at the time, and you would just have to sit through and watch it. That's how I sat through the OJ case. So when Scott Peterson came into our radar, was it 2004, the winter of, the Christmas of, this case really took the world and the United States and the world globally by storm. I mean, this case was huge, huge. A pregnant, beautiful young bride, mother, mother to be becomes, ends up going missing. Her, at the time, people, they thought he was like an attractive young husband, is all eyes are on him. And then all of a sudden it comes out, that he's having an affair on top of all of it. Calling the girlfriend while he's at the vigil for the wife, the whole 9 yards, telling her he's in another country. And it got ugly. So I will say, though, Amber Frey got a lot of crap for this. I feel like looking back on it now as an adult, like 20 years later, she really handled this case. I think she handled it pretty freaking well for being the other woman. She came forward. She did everything, I feel like, right, in her, what she needed to do. She wasn't just like hiding, like, oh, I hope nobody finds out about me. Like, she came out and was like, this is what's going on. So, and didn't she have Gloria as her lawyer too? Or was that not her lawyer? I feel like Gloria was her lawyer. Maybe not, though. Gloria, is it Albright? Something like that. Yeah. We may actually read it in here. So we'll have to see. Yes, he told his girlfriend he lost his wife before she was found. Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe? Oh, my Lord of mercy. I just remember Nancy. I remember Nancy on the TV yelling every night about this case. Thank you, Jan. But yeah, so yeah, Nancy was fired up. So that's what I was waiting on, because I knew she was going to say something about this. I'm like, she's going to say something. She's got to say something. Where is she at? Why isn't she here? Was it her? Yes, Gloria. Okay, that's what I thought. Isn't that crazy? We just saw Gloria the other day, and I was like, and this is the case I was thinking of, I bet. Because I was like, what other case, high profile case is she a part of? I was like, it was huge. It was a big case. And I couldn't remember what case it was. I guarantee it was this case. I guarantee it. That's probably what I was thinking of. Oh, Cheryl, that's so sad. I think we're going to go over that. There's like a document that came out over Savannah. Let me see here. I don't know. Okay, thanks, Jan. I'll look at it just a minute. I think I saw something about this, though. Wow. Okay, you have to look at that. That's, whoa. People would be crazy. I see the Watts case. I got into that case, but not like, what was going on? Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. I'm trying to think of the year. 18. Oh, okay. I didn't get into that case because my mom, that was when I was going through some stuff with not with my mother, of course, but I was moving and then my mother passed. So that I knew there was a reason why I didn't get into. I mean, I know about the case and I'm infatuated with the case, but I'm not like, I don't know the whole, the whole Watts debacle stuff, like the stuff that you guys know, the YouTubers. You know what I mean? I know more of the news part of it. There's a difference, you know what I mean? Like people that go to YouTube than people that go to the news. So oh, really? Lisa Blue from Court TV is Gloria's daughter? I didn't know that. WD-40? And I love that name. WD-40. I could use some of that some days. So we'll read over this. This is Scott here. This was in 2005, escorted from the jail. So in November 2004, Scott Peterson was convicted of unaliving his wife, Laci, and their unborn son, Connor. Prosecutors allege that Peterson's motive for the murders were to escape married life and upcoming fatherhood. His death sentence was overturned in 2020, and he is serving a life sentence without parole. In January 2024, the Los Angeles Innocence Project, a nonprofit that works to exonerate people who are wrongfully convicted, announced it is representing Peterson as it investigates his claim of actual innocence. So let me just grab something really quick, too. I wanted to see. Let me see here. It doesn't even say. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys these here in a minute, like the Innocence Project, because I think that there's two different ones. So December 24th, 2002. Oh, 2002. I thought that was 2004. Wow. Don't know where my brain was going. I was 16 when this happened. Laci Peterson is reported missing from the Peterson's home in Modesto, California. January 24th, 2003. Amber Fry, a Fresno massage therapist, comes forward at a police news conference and says she was having an affair with Scott Peterson. She says the affair began November 20th after Peterson told her he was single. April 18th, 2003, California Attorney General Bill Locker confirms a body found on April 13th on the shore of San Francisco Bay is Connor, and another body found on April 14th is Laci. Peterson is arrested in April 18th, the same day. Peterson is arrested in San Diego, pending capital murder / double homicide charges, and is held without bail. April 21st, the same year. I'm just going to read them through, and then when the year changes, I'll let you know. April 21st, his arraignment. Peterson is charged with 2 felony counts of murder with premeditation and special circumstances. Peterson pleads not guilty. April 2nd, Mark Geragos becomes Peterson's attorney. I don't know why I didn't remember that. I don't remember Mark Geragos being his attorney. Why don't I remember that? I don't know why I don't, but whew, wow. June 12th, a gag order is placed on participants saying the restrictions are necessary to preserve Peterson's right to a fair trial and amid massive publicity. So they put in a gag order. We've heard all about those now. August 18th, Judge Al Girlamam, I can't pronounce his name. Let me see if I can pull it up. I want to pronounce it right. Girolami. Judge Al Girolami rules that news cameras will not be allowed in the courtroom at the preliminary hearing. April 26th, Laci's family files a civil lawsuit against Peterson to prevent him from receiving money for selling his story. Was this before the son of Sam laws? He wouldn't have been able to. December 19th, Laci's mother, Sharon Roca, sues Peterson for over $5 million for the deaths of her daughter and unborn grandson. As the executor of Laci's estate, she files 2 separate lawsuits, a wrongful death action and a survival action. Then January 20th, 2004, the criminal trial is moved to San Mateo County. Sorry, Mateo County. That's how big it was. It was moved. That's wow. You know, it's a big case if they're moving jurisdictions in California. You go, I mean, and this is the truth. I wouldn't believe it if I've never been out there, but there's a city inside of every city, inside of every city, inside of every city there. You know, it's so many different cultures and so many different families and so many people all just in that one state concluded, like outside of Los Angeles anyway, and Los Angeles where we were. So, I mean, it would have to be a huge story for it to have to be moved. This isn't just some like little county county where it's like, you got 3,000 people that live in the whole county or less, and they all know each other. This is, wow. So then it moves to a different judge. Why do they all have to have crazy last names?
Delicate.
I don't know. Judge Alfred Delicate bars cameras from the courtroom for the entire trial. March 4th, 2004, jury selection begins. May 27th, 2004, the 6-man, 6-woman jury is seated. There are also 6 alternates. June 1st, 2004, the trial began. June 21st, Laci tells jurors that they must take care to ensure their actions in and around the courtroom are not misconstrued. The warning comes after juror number 5 spoke to Laci's brother, Brent, at a courthouse security checkpoint on June 18th. June 23rd, 2004, juror number 5, Justin Valconer, is dismissed from the jury. Like, he should have known better. You know what I mean? Like, as a juror. But, I mean, I guess it's better to get them off the jury, dismiss them off of the jury than keep them. August 10th, 2004, Fry testifies that Peterson told her he was a widower and lied about where he lived and where he traveled. Jurors hear recordings of Peterson and Fry's conversations made by police after she discovered the truth. November 3rd, 2004, jury deliberations begin. November 2nd, 2004, Peterson is found guilty of first-degree murder for Laci's death and second-degree murder for Connor's death. They should have both been first-degree. If you're premeditating to kill your wife that's pregnant, you're premeditating to kill your unborn child, in my humble opinion. December 12th, he's found guilty. I said that. So December 13th, the jury recommends that Peterson was sentenced to death. March 16th, 2005, the judge follows the recommendation of the jury and sentences Peterson to death. He gets lucky, though. October 21st, 2005, a judge rules that proceeds from a $250,000 life insurance policy Peterson took out on Laci will go to Laci's mother. That's beautiful. That's good. April 2009. So we're going from 2005 to 2009. Laci's parents dropped their wrongful death lawsuit against Peterson. And then March 13th, 2019, Governor Gavin Newsom signs an executive order issuing a memorandum of executions of death row inmates in California prisons, including Peterson. I remember. Okay. Yeah. So no, there's no death row in California. So all of the, I wonder how many inmates were on death row at the time. You know what I mean? Like at the time, I wonder how many got sentenced to life, life in prison. I'm wondering. That's, California Supreme Court overturns Peterson's death sentence. The case is recommended to a lower court to determine Peterson's penalty. And that was in August 24th, 2020. So he hasn't really been out of the headlines. Do you know what I mean? Like out of the news. Like he's still keeping his head in there, like in the game, here I am. So April 14th, 2020, the California Supreme Court orders the San Mateo County Superior Court to re-examine Peterson's murder convictions because a juror did not disclose involvement in other legal proceedings, including but not limited to being the victim of a crime. The latest ruling is part of an ongoing appeals case. December 8th, 2021, Peterson is resentenced to life without the possibility of parole by Judge Ann Christine. Why do they all have weird last names? Masulo? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine on that one. October 2022. So he goes for an appeal because of a, juror not disclosing that she might have been like either in legal proceedings or like a victim of a crime. So he gets an appeal, which is like really good for, somebody that's been in life in prison. But then he's denied and he's resentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Then in October 2022, Peterson is moved from death row because remember, now he's getting off death row. So appeal denied, death row, you're getting off. So he's moved from death row at San Quentin State Prison near San Francisco to Mule Creek State Prison in Lone, California. And I bet those two prisons are a lot different. Just going to say that they're probably a lot different. April 2023, Peterson's attorneys file a petition for writ of habeas corpus in which they allege violations of state and federal constitutional rights and the state statutory rights, including a claim of actual innocence that is supported by newly discovered evidence. And then in January 2024, the Los Angeles Innocence Project says it's begun representing Peterson. The nonprofit says it's investigating Peterson's claim of actual innocence. So when you go to their website, this one that the Los Angeles Innocence Project one, it gives you these people here. You got these people here exonerating the wrongfully convicted. If you go up here and you just do a little research, because there's, I was like, Innocence Project, Scott Peterson. I don't know. It just seemed a little fishy to me. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't know if I am. So this one is more for like, I'm going to read this little part, but it's more for forensics. They use forensics to exonerate people. This ain't like the Innocence Project. I'll show you that one in a minute. So the LAIP, so Los Angeles, Los Angeles Innocence Project, mission to exonerate the wrongfully convicted, free the wrongfully incarcerated, uncover and remedy past misuse of forensic and other scientific evidence in the courtroom, improve standard for the use of forensic and other scientific evidence in the courtroom, and reform the criminal legal system to prevent future injustice. So I was like, okay, well, let me look into this. So I go up here and you go to their clients. They have one client. Okay, well, that's not looking good because the Innocence Project that I know has more clients than that, So this is the Innocence Project this one is the actual wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. We get people off with shit. This one here. You know what I mean? Like we get people off. This is what we do. Like we only take cases that we know there's evidence to usually exonerate that person. You know what I mean? We don't just pick up. Because remember the other day I was like, what are they doing? Just taking free cases now? This is weird. So now this one probably does take on, whatever they can get their hands on. But if you even go to their Instagram, go over here to Instagram, they've got 1,000 people following them. One of the people they exonerated, this lady here, she's like head of the board for the company now, organization. But if you go over here to what I think is the Innocence Project, the actual one, you see their cases and you just like can look through them, you know. But they've got some cases. They got all the way past 17, like, you know, here. So I'm just like, very weird. Let's see how many pages they have. I think it's just 17, it looks like. But they've got 17 more than the first one. So I think that's what it is. I think that this is just like one of those, if I were to make up a website, put some pictures on there, maybe get one person off with a conviction. Not saying that what they do is not important. Not saying that. But compared to, people are saying the Innocence Project. When you think of the Innocence Project, right? You think of like the one that goes and you see people walking out, like in your head, you automatically see that person that's been incarcerated for 50 years or something, you know, I'm exaggerating, but you know, like 20 years, and they're walking out and they're like free. That's not the Los Angeles Innocence Project. They're a little different. None of them, nope, they probably did it. Because these were actually all exonerated. These people actually didn't do it. But you know, I don't know about the Los Angeles one. So I wanted to bring that up because I was just like, these are two different ones. And I got to dig in more, but it's weird. I even was looking like on their Twitter and it said like that they were asking for evidence, but then it was like, you need to redirect your like questions to these people. It's just so crazy. I thought it was the lawyer from Making a Murderer Lady Attorney. Oh, I thought you were talking to me. Making a Murderer. No, that was good too. Now that left us hanging. So I thought this was just going to be on podcast, but it actually came out like 2 hours ago. So we can see Nancy's face because it's, sorry. Oopsie. It's way better when we can see her actual face. You know what I mean? And I started listening to this and then I was like, nope, you just wait. I was like, you just wait, watch it with them because this is a good one. If I can find it right where I was. There we go. And of course, Nancy, I never get her in a good face. Oh, do you want to hear something funny though? Let me show you. I wonder if I probably can't show you. It might be on her page. Let me see. Look at her face. She looks like she's kissing us. Oh, it is. Okay. Now, I'm not saying Nancy's watching the channel, but I'm not saying that Nancy's not watching the channel, which I'll put Nancy behind me here in a minute. I forgot. She's standing over here staring at me. I'll move her. So, you know, on our lives, we always say something like Nancy always says something funny. And I'm always like, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt or, you know, get me on a t-shirt and, you know, like get that on a t-shirt for me like that. I'm always like, she always has those one-liners that are just very, very funny. You know, this isn't high tea at Windsor Castle. Jump in here, you know, tell it to me straight. She just says things. So I was cruising my YouTube, you know, before I got on here today, right before the live. And I was like, oh, hell no, she didn't. So look what she did on her page. She posted this. Nancy Grace reacts to LA Innocence Project. And then she put her own quote from her show. I was like, It's not on a t-shirt, but it might as well be. Might as well be. Look, she might as well be telling me, don't you dare put that on a t-shirt and not give me credit. And that's what she wants her crime story logo to be, I guess. So I'll do that for her. Nikki, 10 minutes with Nancy Grace and he'll confess to the Lindbergh kidnapping. That's one we should talk about. The Lindbergh case. Well, wow. Okay. Let me get it back on to Nancy here. But I thought that was so funny that she did that. Cause I'm like, oh no, she didn't. It's just like putting it on a shirt, I feel like. Cause I've never seen her like quote herself like that. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she does it all the time. I just never seen it. But I've never seen that. And I'm like, yeah, she's lurking. She's lurking at us. We love you, Nancy, over here. Don't worry. I'm moving you here in a minute.
I would put these four.
Okay, I did share it. I was making sure I shared that with you guys. If you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button, all that good stuff. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We do talk true crime daily here.
Or words in the same sentence. Scott Peterson, Innocence Project.
And one more thing, maybe she'll give us some clarity on the Innocent Project thing. Like maybe no one's figured that part out, but I'm sure that they do the research.
You know, I've disagreed with a lot of cases Innocence Project has handled over the years, the way that they handled it, but I've had deep respect for them. Not anymore. Really? This guy has been through an appeal, another appeal, a habeas corpus, and now this based on new evidence. What new evidence? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Crime Stories and on Sirius XM 111. Let's take it back and get a little reality check on what really happened. Listen to this.
How can I help you?
Yes, my son-in-law called. He was playing golf this morning at 9:30. My daughter's been missing since this morning. She's 8 months pregnant. She took her dog for a walk in the park. The dog came home with just a leash shot.
So the dog came back without your daughter?
Right.
What's your stepdaughter's name?
Scott Peterson.
No, your stepdaughter.
Laci Peterson.
Laci, Peterson, right?
Peterson.
And she's white, black, Hispanic, Asian?
She's Portuguese and white.
How old is she?
She's 26.
What time did she leave the house and didn't come back?
That we don't know. We just got a call from our son-in-law. Said he left this morning at 9:30 to play golf. He went back home about a half hour ago. Nowhere around.
Okay, so she went to walk the dog with?
Walked it in that park.
And she's 8 months pregnant, you said?
Pardon?
You said she's 8 months pregnant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'll come out as soon as they're available.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Joining me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now, including Christine Lazar joining us, investigative reporter KCAL, CBS, there in LA, who's been on the story, all over the story. But first, let me go to the director and founder of the Cold Case Research Institute, star of a hit series, Zone 7 podcast, Cheryl McCollum. Did you hear what I just heard?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is a lightning round. That means yes, no, if you can contain yourself. If not, I understand. Did I not hear on one but two occasions, and Rod Gransky, may he rest in peace, 911 call that Scott Peterson, Laci's husband, told him that he was golfing that morning? Did you hear that? Because I heard that.
Heard loud and clear twice.
You know what, Cheryl McCollum? I know what I did this morning. I woke up super early. I made a shake for my son and oven baked bacon for him and Lucy. I took food to my mom. I fed the cats and the dogs and everybody. And then they went to school. I know exactly what happened this morning. Now, how is it? At first, he thought he was playing golf, and then that changed to he was fishing the morning his wife disappears, fishing in the rain and the cold on Christmas Eve in San Francisco Bay, where her body turns up. Why?
Because I think he realized they've got my tag at the marina when I came in, and he also had to pay a fee that gives you a timestamp receipt. He knew that was something they were going to be able to prove. He had no choice but to change his statement.
Cheryl, my question was, why did he say he was playing golf?
Because he had told his sister-in-law the night before that that's what he was going to be doing, so he had already put that in the universe.
Dale Carson, a high-profile lawyer, joining me out of Jacksonville. What I like about Carson is not only is he high-profile defense attorney, don't like that as much, but former FBI and former cop in Miami-Dade. Never a lack of business for cops in Miami-Dade. Author of Arrest Proof Yourself. You can find him at dalecarsonlaw.com. Okay, Dale, he said he was playing golf because he was lying. Because then he changed his story to fishing, based on what Cheryl McCollum just said. He was busted going in and out of the marina. Look, I don't care that there is a guard gate when I take the children drop off and pick up. I don't care if I'm spotted. Why did he care?
I know the answer to this, and it is quite simple. He's talking to his father-in-law. And any person who would leave the night before Christmas or the day before Christmas and go out fishing with his pregnant 8-month-old wife home by herself is not to be believed with anything he says. How could a man do such a thing? And he certainly doesn't want to be called out by his father-in-law for being the absolute incredible liar that he is.
Another thing, let me go to Christine Lazar. And by the way, I agree with you, Dale Carson. Now, it's a cold day in HELL that Dale Carson, who has won a lot of jury trials, says a defendant is lying. Normally, he takes their side, no matter what. Christine Lazar joining me, investigative reporter, KCAL, CBS. Christine Lazar, also, the theory goes on that Laci Peterson, now this is according to Scott Peterson, think he's got a reason to lie, got any skin in the game, got a dog in the fight. He says she was going for a walk in the park. But isn't it true, Christine Lazar, that one of the several doctors monitoring Laci's pregnancy testified at the original trial that Laci had called the hair clinic complaining about being dizzy when she walked. And this doctor told her not to exercise or do it late in the day when she had plenty on her tummy and was hydrated. Now, that doctor was Dr. Tina Edraki, and she was under direct examination by prosecutor David Harris. She called again November the 8th, claiming she had shortness of breath. Again, she was told, don't exercise early in the day. Isn't that true, Christine Lazar?
Yes. So at the time of the trial, I was a reporter in Fresno, and they sent me up to Redwood City to cover it because, as you may remember, Scott Peterson's mistress, Amber Fry, was from the Fresno area. And I think it's important to also bring
Okay, wait, just stop right there, Christine Lazar. I think my head is physically going to blow off because everything you just said is true. But now I'm talking about Laci short of breath. The doctor said she wasn't going to walk in the morning, and you brought up the F word, Amber Fry, who happens to be a very lovely lady, by the way. I spent time with her and her lawyer, who I admire a lot, Gloria Allred. I mean, okay.
I said Albright.
Go ahead. I think my head is still attached to my neck. Go ahead, Christine.
Well, look, I mean, that really was I guess you could say, smoking gun of that trial, when we all sat around and listened to those audio tapes, Scott Peterson saying that he's at the Eiffel Tower when in reality he's at a vigil for his missing wife who was pregnant with his first child, his unborn child. Those memories of listening to those tapes will always stick with me. Being in that trial, when this first came out that the Innocence Project was taking on this case, all of my colleagues wanted to know what it was like covering that trial. And I will also say, and I know, Nancy, you were there, one of the things we all talked about was Scott's demeanor and how he walked into that courtroom every day with a swagger and a smirk on his face.
Like a cocky SOB that was a star quarterback of his own murder trial. That's what it was like. I mean, all puffed up.
It was hard to wrap your brain around the fact that even if he was innocent, he has a...
Hold on. Which one did they take? Which one did she end up taking? Like, Nancy. I don't even know what it was now. I'm trying to buy memberships. For some reason, it just keeps going in circles. Sorry. Let me figure this out. Hold on one second. This is too rich.
He has a white...
Her, I don't even know what she just said, but the quote was, or whatever she just said was hilarious. I don't know why they didn't have that one on her page.
Also say, and I know, Nancy, you were there, one of the things we all talked about was Scott's demeanor and how he walked into that courtroom every day with a swagger and a smirk on his face.
Like
And
a
it was so
cocky
hard to-
SOB that was a star quarterback of his own murder trial. That's what it was like. I mean, all
Why does she come up with this stuff?
puffed
and it
up.
was hard to wrap your brain around the fact that even if he was innocent,
I get it though. I
he
get
has
it.
he has a wife who is dead and his first child who died with her. And so it was hard to reconcile his behavior with the crime that we were all there for.
You know, changing a story from how could you get that wrong? The day your wife goes missing. And oh, Cheryl McCollum, correct me, wasn't that her father, stepfather Ron Gransky calling in, not her husband?
100%. So he didn't even make the call. He's
Okay.
showing no concern.
There's
He's
so
just
much
telling
there,
them
but
things.
do you remember that, Cheryl McCollum? I was out in Redwood City covering the trial live, but I was in Atlanta, as were you, and New York, much of the time when the investigation was going on. And I will never forget the moment. I remember where I was. I was standing in the lobby of my apartment building in New York, about 8 blocks from the Court TV studios and HLN. And the photo of Scott Peterson comes out with his hand on his mistress, Amber Fry's rear end. And she had on this beautiful red Christmas dress, and he was dressed up to go to her Christmas party while Laci, 8 months pregnant, stayed home with her feet up because she was feeling bad. Point, feet up, Cheryl McCollum. Last count, you had 2 children. Feet up. She was so heavily pregnant, she had to put her feet up all the time and was told directly by multiple doctors, do not walk in the morning, if at all, because she was getting dizzy to the point of thinking she was going to pass out when she would go for a walk.
Absolutely. So you remember that feeling where your ankles are
So, you know, you would most definitely have your husband walk your dog. Most definitely. And they had a backyard, and I believe it was fenced in, wasn't it? So they literally didn't even have to technically walk the dog. They could have just let the dog out in the backyard, let it run around for a little while, come back in. My dogs are spoiled. They get 6 walks a day, but if we had a backyard, they'd be in that backyard.
swelling up. You don't even
And
feel
I'm not
like
pregnant.
getting up, much less walking. But she was told not to do it because she was at risk for doing that. Just she needed to rest. But Nancy, the pre and post behavior here is something we've talked about a lot. So not only is he having an affair, he is doing so where he is maintaining the relationship with Amber Fry after Laci goes missing. That to me is critical because people always say, well, just because you're having an affair doesn't make you a murderer. Absolutely. But that behavior after she went missing, where he's calling Amber during the candlelight vigil for Laci and Connor, and he's explaining, oh, I'm watching these fireworks and I'm thinking of you. He's not searching for her. He's not desperate to find her and his unborn child. He is trying to maintain a relationship with somebody he's only known for weeks.
You know, Cheryl, you just brought to my mind who I consider to be a friend, Laci's mother, Sharon Rocha. And I will never forget, and I guess, Christine Lazar, you were in the courtroom for this. I had been out front. I had been doing something for it had to be for Court TV. And I raced back in, and all I could get was a very back row seat. And I was happy to get it all the way in the back of the courtroom. And I'm short. I had to take my backpack off and sit on top of my backpack to see Sharon Rocha on the stand. I remember she had on this beautiful yellow outfit. And when she was describing burying Laci, her bones, of course, because she was skeletonized by the time she washed ashore, Laci was buried holding Connor, her baby, in her arms. And
I wonder how heavy skeletal remains would be compared to having like the full body. Because I mean, that might be we already know it's a blessing, and you know that they even found her, that she even was washed up. But I'm just kind of wondering when I hear things, I don't know, questions pop in my head. So let me look that up for us.
Will never forget her looking
That's
over
insane.
at Scott Peterson. And I am reminded of a truth. And the truth is those most vested in a true verdict are the victim's family. And they, Laci's family, is convinced Scott Peterson is guilty. Now, the Innocence Project is coming in full steam after multiple appeals claiming there's new evidence. But speaking of Sharon Rocha, listen to this.
We'd like to thank all of you for being here and helping us trying to find our daughter. And we'd just like to send a message out there that whoever has her, please, please, please let her go. Bring her back.
We love her so much. We want her back. Please, let us have her back.
Yes. We want her and our grandson home safely and immediately. So please bring her back to us.
You hear Ron Gransky breaking down in the background, and I can tell you, Ron Gransky was very, very emotional. He loved Laci so much. He could hardly ever speak before the cameras. It reminded me a lot of my dad. Very sentimental.
I forgot
could
about
hardly
that.
get through 3 sentences straight without breaking down and crying about Laci. And now this. And Sharon Rocha has to live through the whole thing again and more from Sharon Rocha.
Laci was just a loving, happy, generous, vivacious person. Laci loves life. She loves people. She loves entertaining. She's happy. She and Scott are just so much in love. They're just, I think everybody envies their relationship. They're just perfect together. They have a wonderful life. They're looking forward to having their baby. They've waited a long time. They tried for a long time to have a baby, and she finally became pregnant, and this is just the center of her world, just to have her baby and be with her husband.
Now, that is what Sharon Rocha thought before this. Listen.
I met Scott Peterson November 20th, 2002. I was introduced to him. I was told he was unmarried. Scott told me he was not married. We did have a romantic relationship. When I discovered he was involved in the Laci Peterson disappearance case, I immediately contacted the Modesto Police Department. Although I could have sold the photos of Scott and I to tabloids, I knew this was not the right thing to do. For fear of jeopardizing the case or the police investigation, I will not comment further.
Yeah, Amber Frey was dragged through the mud, tarred and feathered over having a sex relationship with Peterson. But I believe her that she did not know he was married. She could have made probably at least $100,000 off selling those photos and her story. She didn't do it. Listen to more of Amber Frey.
I am very sorry for Laci's family and the pain that this has caused them. And I pray for her safe return as well. I would appreciate to my friends and acquaintances to refrain from talking about me to the media for profit or recognition. I am a single mother of a 23-month-old child, and I ask to respect my privacy. Thank you.
Of course, her life turned upside down, and she was again tarred and feathered on cross-examination when she bravely took the stand in court. But you know what? To Karen Stark joining me, renowned psychologist joining us out of Manhattan. You can find her at KarenStark.com. That's Karen with a C in case you try to find her. Karen, did you hear Sharon Rocha say that Laci loved entertaining? Okay, Karen, I don't know if you remember, you and I worked on this case together. You were with me night after night after night during the trial. on air. And I remember telling you that I had gone to Laci's home and actually got to look inside. And it looked like I could tell she loved her home. It was decorated, I could tell, on a budget, but it was so perfectly done. I'm getting to a point. It would be a cold day, an HELL, that David Lynch, my husband, that you told me to marry, by the way, would go out. Remember, Laci was expecting all the family to come to her place and was getting it all ready. I mean, she was having everything getting everything ready for Christmas. It was December 24. It would be a cold day in hell that David Lynch would leave when I was trying to get the house ready and cook a turkey and homemade dressing and blah, 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 get all the presents wrapped, everything done. No way. He would be there trying to help me. And with her pregnant, no way was he going to go golfing or fishing.
Nancy, she was 8 months pregnant and told that she should not be exercising or doing any undue labor while she was pregnant at that point. And he was out golfing. Oh, wait, no, he wasn't golfing. He was fishing. And do you remember the interview that they had with him when he picked up a call? He was so nonchalant. You would never, ever guess that this man had lost his wife and his child.
You know, the only newly discovered evidence there is to be found at this point is to tell me exactly how he murdered his wife. To Dr. Todd M. Barr joining me, board certified anatomic clinical forensic pathologist, featured in Thin Places, Essays from In Between. Dr. Barr, thank you for being with us. The defense has thrown out so many, many, many different theories as to who murdered Laci. They said I think they said a Hawaiian gang did it. Then they said some other kind of gang did it. Then they said, one of the theories was that someone had kidnapped Laci and cut her open to take baby Connor for their own. But yet, when she was found, there was no indication of that, although she was largely skeletonized. But the state's theory, which was backed up by medical examiners, was that over time, weeks and weeks and weeks in the San Francisco Bay, the last portion of a woman's body to decompose would be that thick uterine wall, the womb. And that in the end, it did deteriorate and baby Connor just floated out because while she was largely decomposed, baby Connor looked like one of those little plastic shiny baby dolls that you get at a store.
Sure. I mean, the fact that the baby was in utero was very protective. You know, in the cold waters of the San Francisco Bay, you know, that slows down decomposition. Now, of course, Laci's body is exposed to all of the elements, including animal predation, you know, animals or fish that might be, you know, gnawing on her flesh, which will actually promote the acceleration of her decomposition. So yes, I agree that the baby would have been the last one out, so to speak, and would have been relatively well preserved at that point.
So would there have been any evidence left that someone had cut her stomach open? I mean, if they had done that, they would have tried to get Connor out and he was still in there.
Yeah, and I would think that if somebody was, you know, not a surgical person that was trying to open up her abdomen to take the baby out, it's very possible that the baby would have sustained some sort of injury in the process. It's, you know, I mean, it's a tight space in the uterus, and so when you're trying to cut a baby out, there very well could have been evidence that the baby sustained some sort of sharp force injury from someone trying to extract the baby.
A homemade cesarean.
What's that?
A home cesarean where
yes,
The baby is cut
Exactly.
out of the stomach. But you're right. You would have expected Connor to have some sort of cutting or injury or something. He had nothing.
Yes. Unless it was done by an OBGYN, that knew what they were doing.
Exactly.
Most of us wouldn't know where to make the first cut.
Dr.
Even as
Todd,
a medical doctor myself, I wouldn't know how to do a cesarean section because I'm not trained as an OBGYN.
yeah, I try to tell people that all the time. I'm like, you want me to write your will? Yeah, I'll try. But that's like asking an ear doctor to perform open heart surgery. But okay, guys, we are hearing that the Innocence Project has actually taken on Scott Peterson's case. Now, to Christine Lazar joining us, investigative reporter KCAL, CBS LA, I understand that they claim there is blood spatter evidence that, quote, might have exonerated him and other suspects who were, quote, overlooked. Is that what they're basing this on?
They're not saying a lot, but that is what they are pointing to, that there was some sort of blood spatter evidence inside this burned out van. And as you may remember, there was talk that there was a robbery in the area right before she went missing. And could that be linked to her disappearance? Again, in trial, the prosecution kind of pushed that aside and said those were completely unrelated.
Well, yeah, you're talking about a robbery. I thought it was a burglary.
Yes, correct. I'm sorry.
Kind of catty-cornered to Laci's home there on Covina. And I believe the reason prosecutors discounted it is because they caught the burglars and interviewed them at length and polygraphed them and decided, yeah, that's not what happened. Is that the burglary you're talking about?
Yes. And I will say here in LA, this is all anybody seems to be talking about. And a lot of people, if you look in the comment section, if you hear the responses to the stories we've been doing, a lot of people very upset with the Innocence Project, feeling like this is a case that is not worthy of their time and attention. Most people I talk to say they believe Scott Peterson did it. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence in the trial, but one thing that we kept saying as reporters covering it back in 2004, if not him, then who? All signs seem to point to Scott Peterson. And I will say, after covering that trial and walking away from it, I did feel like the jury made the right decision.
Well, the thing is this, we're just touching on some of the evidence right now, just a tiny, tiny bit of it. But I sat through the trial. I heard the evidence. I, like many people, agree Peterson murdered his wife and unborn child. As to the Innocence Project, they actually do fine work. In many cases, there are wrongfully convicted people in our country, and they need to be released and they need to be exonerated. There are cases out there that desperately need the Innocence Project. So why latch on to Scott Peterson's case like a tick, sucking the blood out of it? Why? Guys, speaking of guilt, we've been talking about the mistress, and I kind of hate to even refer to her that way because she's a very nice lady with a new life and a new family. Listen to this. This is the call Cheryl McCollum referred to, where even after Laci is missing, of course, dead, you hear him continuing the lie just to get laid. What? One more time? Listen.
Amber. 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 Amber, if you hear me, it's tears. I know. Amber, tears here. Are you there? Amber. Hey, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. I want to call you. Thank you. Amber, are you there? I'm here. Amber. I wish you could hear me. I'm on the, I think that you're there. I'm near the Eiffel Tower. New Year's celebration is unreal.
The nerve. The nerve. Taking pictures with her. I mean, the pictures. What? Like the prom pic that look like they were going to prom together, and then this picture. I mean, oh my gosh. I think even if this affair wasn't, they said November 20th, I would have been less than like, that'd have been like a little over a month. Let's just say it was going on for that long. I think Laci would have. I think she would have known, even though it was just a short amount of time. I feel like her wifey and her women's intuition and mother's intuition and all the intuitions would have kicked in, and I think she would have known something was up.
Huge.
The crowd's huge.
Amber,
Now she might not have said anything, but I think she knew, or she
Amber, I
suspected.
can't hear you right now, but I'll call you on your New Year's.
Okay, I'll hear from you then.
Amber. Amber, miss you. See you soon.
Okay. I hope.
Cheryl McCollum, my chest is hurting now. At first, I thought my head was going to blow off. Now I think I might be having a heart attack. Did you hear that? I'm near the Eiffel Tower, and the celebration is, quote, unreal. The crowd is huge. There was a huge crowd, but wasn't he at his wife's vigil when he did that?
He was literally standing off to the side during the candlelight vigil. Wanting to keep the relationship with Amber going. And the thing that's so crazy to me, even if you're having an affair and even if you're having a great time with this person that you just met weeks ago, if your wife legitimately goes missing and she's pregnant with your unborn child, it seems like your focus would flip because, again, your parents are going to be hurting. Her parents are going to be scared to death and hurting. Siblings. You've got other people involved with your marriage that are going to be connected to Laci and love her. And here's the thing. His mother-in-law turned on him and understood that he was a liar and did something to Laci. His best friend distanced himself because he's like, look, his alibi's not making any sense to me. Nobody supported him that knew him. No one. So everything that he started to do, again, there's some things you're right about, Nancy, that we don't have. We don't have the cause of death or the time of death or a weapon, but there's things we do have. We've got hair and pliers on his boat that we know Laci never went on. He's the one that said, oh, you're probably going to find blood in my truck. He gave them that. He's the one that told his dad, I might be pulling an OJ. I mean, everything he did gave us reason to look at him, especially when he goes on Diane Sawyer and is talking about her in past tense.
When they were still searching for her. You know, Dale Carson joining me, high-profile defense attorney joining us out of Jacksonville, former FBI and beat cop in Miami-Dade. Dale Carson, I want to hear what you think about the changing defense theories and about this blood spatter. But first, let me ask you something about the Innocence Project, which I have long held in esteem. I don't believe you have ever heard me rant and rave about the Innocence Project because they have actually led to some exonerations that were desperately needed by Lady Justice. So, Dale Carson, what I find very curious is you heard Christine Lazar. She's a very well-known and respected investigative reporter joining us out of KCAL, CBS, LA. She said that the Innocence Project has not revealed what the, quote, new evidence is. Why? If it's new evidence, man, and it was proven Scott Peterson innocent, I would be shouting it from the rooftops.
Well, I took the opportunity to read the appeal, essentially, and it's fairly lengthy. But there are just points that you've already mentioned, frankly. The two burglars, they've been interviewed, a van with a mattress in it that had blood in it, the argument that the dog was out and Laci had been walking the dog and she was abducted by these individuals. I mean, it's fairly laid out. And the Innocence Project does an excellent job where it's needed. I think this is more of a publicity stab than it is anything else. And I don't think it's particularly necessary. I think it's a waste of their resources and energies on something that's fairly clear. I mean, the most interesting thing to me from an investigative perspective is the fact that her head and her hands were missing. Those are identity clues. And there's only one person who would do something like that, and we all know who that is. So, yes, in any large major case, there's going to be evidence, just as there was the Atlantic Kid killings that I was involved with. where there's additional evidence that shows up years later, but that doesn't mean that the individual who's been convicted is somehow innocent.
Can I point something out, a legal aspect that I think will immediately quash this appeal? Newly discovered means newly discovered. The van plus purported sightings of Laci before her disappearance were known at the time of trial. This is not newly discovered. I'm only curious regarding the blood. The project is asking DNA testing be done on blood and that previously unheard interviews with witnesses be re-examined. There is nothing new. I mean, am I missing something, Christine Lazar? The blood they're talking about, the blood spatter they're referring to, if it exists, would have been in that van. Is that the blood they're talking about?
Well, look, I mean, they're not saying a lot. They're not giving us specifics. A lot of this is just us, you know, trying to read between the lines and figure out where their head is at, because so many people are surprised that this is a case that the Innocence Project has decided to take on. At this point, we're being told that it has something to do with blood in that van. Now, whether, you know,
But they
you can
had
still
the
make
van at the
anything
time
from
of
that.
trial. The van was discoverable at the time of
Correct.
trial. And under the law, if this was evidence that could be discoverable at the time of the trial, it is not, quote, newly discoverable, newly discovered, which is required for a case to go forward on appeal on the grounds of newly discovered evidence. It's not newly discovered. That said, I would still want
Nancy, your prosecution's showing.
the truth. But
She may.
back to the facts. Remember when Amber Fry was entertaining that call from Peterson the night of his wife's vigil, as Cheryl McCollum described, going off to the corner and calling Amber Fry, pretending he's in Paris, quote, near the Eiffel Tower.
When you heard that phone call, didn't it sound like he was almost a little intoxicated? Like, I hope they play the phone call again. I meant to say that earlier, but when he calls, I've heard this phone call a million times, but it's been 20 years since I've heard it, 22 or something like that. But when he's on the phone with her and he's like, I'm by the Eiffel Tower, his voice, he sounds like he's like intoxicated. I'm wondering if he's trying to sound like he's intoxicated because it was New Year's Eve and he was calling her and he's supposed to be by the Eiffel Tower. Come on, girl. You believe that one, though? I wouldn't believe that.
Man, he could shoot a line of, well, let's see, I gave up cursing, crap. But she knew he was under suspicion. When she took that call, she was recording it for police. And how do you think that made her feel? Knowing a guy had likely killed his wife and he was out and you're cooperating with police, she did it anyway. Now she confronts him. Listen.
Told me this elaborate lie about her missing and this tragedy, and that this will be the first holidays without her.
I never said, Amber. God, I don't want to fight with you. You know that I never said tragedy or missing.
Oh yes, you said you've lost your wife.
No, yes.
Obviously, without me saying much, but we will.
I said that I lost my wife.
Yes, you did.
I did.
Okay, so either he's clairvoyant or he's a killer. Help me out, Cheryl.
Nancy, he told another mistress named Janet that kids were going to disrupt his lifestyle. He told other people his wife was dead. He has done so many things before she went missing. He got an insurance policy for $250,000. He bought the boat. He, you know, did things to line up to be a single person, it would appear. And then after she goes missing, the lies kept going. He didn't want to take a polygraph. He told the detective, there's no outside people. There's no third party in our marriage. Our marriage.
I was writing out a big comment, but I figured I'd just tell you guys really quick. So Lady Di, you said, what is the difference between all of these other innocence projects versus the huge .org one? So I wanted to just let you guys know if you're coming in late. I don't know why Nancy is not getting to this because I guess she doesn't know, but she's done that before and she said it right at the end. But what I'm gathering is, and this is just from a business owner standpoint, there's one in Ohio and it's called the Cleveland Innocence Project. And then there's the one that has the Scott Peterson case is called the Los Angeles Innocence Project. But the one that is like the main one that has, gotten the people actually exonerated, a lot of people, they're the organizational one. Their name is just Innocence Project. So Innocence Project compared to Los Angeles Innocence Project compared to Cleveland, Cleveland Innocence Project. And it's not like these are branches of that one big organization. It seems like that organization is just different than these ones. So I want to let you guys know that. And I will get back to Nancy. I like this Nancy face here.
Just
In
fine.
business.
But he continued to call Amber. He continued to say, look, everything's good here. There's no problem. Even when this case got so hot, Laci's face was everywhere. Everybody's concerned about this young woman who is so adorable and 8.5 months pregnant, and they want to focus on this watch that was pawned. Let me ask you something. What criminal kidnaps this person? The case gets hot as fire, and they wait a week to pawn her watch? That doesn't make any sense.
Wait.
Nothing he
There were
did.
2 Croton, Croton watches pawned. And it has never been established that that was Laci's watch that she had inherited. Croton, I think, is a brand of watch. Hey, you left out the fact that he immediately ordered the porn channel, added that to the cable bill, and tried to sell the house and the car. Now, this is when Laci is still missing. Obviously, Karen Stark, you're the shrink. He's not expecting her to walk through the front door. It would be, again, a cold day in hell that David Lynch adds on the porn channel when I'm missing. It's like I go to the school for a reason for the children and he orders the porn channel while I'm gone. No, because he knows I'm going to walk in and see porn on the TV. No, that would not do. But Peterson wasn't worried. He knew Laci was never coming home, Karen Stark.
That's right, Nancy. And how about when he was telling everybody, and people need to hear this, that he could not go into the nursery, he could not go into Connor's room until they were back, and he was definitely going to keep that door closed. And then they discovered that he was using it as storage. He lied again. He had things in there. He had no respect for the fact that he still didn't even know what was going to happen with his baby.
Guys, I want to cut forward to our cut 1016. I want you to analyze more of what Peterson did at the time Laci, quote, goes missing. Listen.
At 9:30 a.m. Christmas Eve, Scott Peterson goes fishing in his brand new boat. Peterson claims the fishing trip is a last-minute decision. He planned to go golfing, but it was too cold and blustery for golf, so he went fishing. Lucky for Scott, even though his decision to fish was last minute, he bought a 2-day ocean fishing license on December 22nd. Peterson fishes without success and returns home late in the afternoon. When he gets home, Scott finds Laci's car in the driveway. Their dog Mackenzie is in the backyard, but the house is empty. After he takes the time to shower and change clothes, Scott Peterson goes to a neighbor's house to see if they've seen Laci. The neighbors hadn't seen Laci, so Scott calls Laci's mother, Sharon. According to Fox News, Scott Peterson doesn't say, "Have you spoken to Laci today? Do you know where Laci is?" He tells Laci's mother that Laci is missing.
Okay, yeah, no. When I'm looking for David, when he goes out of town or he has some meeting or something, I would never say, David's missing. I go, hey, where's David? Have you seen your dad? Something like that. And that is what Sharon Rocha testified to on the stand. So he's out on his secret boat. Christine Lazar joining us, KCAL, CBS, LA. He's out on a secret boat that he didn't tell anybody about. He went fishing last minute, although we know 2 days before he got a fishing license. So it's not last minute. Isn't it true, Christine Lazar, that when he gets home, the dog Mackenzie's in the backyard with the gate locked? Wasn't the backyard gate Anybody jump in that can remember that?
I do remember the back gate. They did have the back
I
gate.
do remember that from trial.
So what? The dog let himself in and locked the gate?
Wish my dogs would do that.
Right. Well, the defense
Smart dog.
argued, as you may remember, that a neighbor had put the dog in there and it closed the gate.
And did that neighbor come forward at trial? Right. Okay. What exactly is the Innocence Project doing? They're refusing to state what the newly discovered evidence is. And my question is, if they're all about the truth coming out, then why keep it a secret? What are they hiding, and why are they hiding it? Or is there really nothing there? Take a listen to Crime Online's Rachel Bonilla.
Scott Peterson's former attorney, Mark Garagos, on TMZ Live, says he can debunk all the prosecution evidence, but said he believes the jury was laser focused on Peterson cheating on his wife. The filing by the LA Innocence Project says Peterson's claims of actual innocence is supported by newly discovered evidence.
And more. Listen.
In court documents, the Los Angeles Innocence Project is asking for witnesses who may have seen Laci walking her dog. There may be witnesses who saw Laci Peterson alive after her husband left Modesto to go fishing. KRON reports police and prosecutors said Laci was murdered before Scott Peterson left town. In court documents, Scott Peterson wrote, "During the search to find Laci, the police continually ignored evidence, including eyewitness reports that Laci was alive and walking our dog the day she disappeared." The project is asking for all reports detailing investigative actions taken in response to eyewitness accounts reporting sightings of Laci Peterson on or after December 24th, 2002.
None of that, Dale Carson, is new evidence.
You're exactly right. None of it is new. And as you say, in appellate work, you have to have evidence that was not discovered at the time. And if they don't have that, they don't meet the boundary for that to be appealed effectively.
And again, they're dredging up the burglary across the street, catty corner to Laci's home. Listen.
Another request from the LA Innocence Project is information regarding the burglary that took place at the Medina's house across the street from the Petersons' home sometime between December 24 and December 26. KRON reports that the two burglars were caught and during their interviews with police denied having anything to do with Laci Peterson. The LA Innocence Project seeks a complete copy of the Modesto Police Department's investigation into the burglary, as well as Modesto Police Department reports on the steps they took to verify the alibis of the two burglars, Stephen Todd and Donald Glenn Pierce, establishing their whereabouts on December 24, 2002.
And is this the blood they're talking about? Listen.
A suspicious van fire happened on Christmas Day, less than a mile from the Peterson home the day Laci Peterson was reported missing. And the LA Innocence Project wants reports from the police department and fire department concerning the investigation of what they call an incendiary fire of an orange van containing a mattress with apparent bloodstains. Court documents show the van appeared to have been intentionally ignited to cover up a crime.
Cheryl McCollum, did I just hear the word apparent? They don't even know if that's blood.
Correct. So again,
That's why this
you
isn't the
walk
right
this
one. I'm
thing
telling you,
through
the Innocence
forensically.
Project is
We
different.
don't have blood that came back as Laci. We don't have blood that came back from Scott in that van. We don't have blood that came back from anybody else in that van. We don't have an eyewitness that saw the van on fire. We don't have these two burglars running from that van. We don't have clothing from Laci. We don't have hair from Laci. We don't have anything in that van connected to her. We do, however, have her hair in the pliers, in the toolbox, inside the boat that she was never in, never fooled with. We do have his blood in his truck that he said we would find. We don't have him searching for her, looking for her, calling the police about her. He didn't do any of that. None of it. But what we do have is an insurance policy, multiple affairs, him telling people before she went missing that she was dead. He refused to take a polygraph. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And even though it's circumstantial, you and I both have worked how many cases where somebody was killed for a lot less than $250,000?
This is all I have to say. Scott Peterson, I'm going to have my hot tea. You stick to your pruno, your jailhouse hooch, because you're going to need a lot of it when this appeal is rejected. And I'm sure it will never concern you at all what you're doing to what is left of Laci's family. Goodbye. Guys, thank you for.
That was the first time she didn't say goodbye, friend. What? Man, did this one really hit Nancy that hard? She didn't even say goodbye, friend. We're rewinding that. She always says it. That's her freaking signature.
Appeal is rejected. And I'm sure it will never concern you at all what you're doing to what is left of Laci's family. Goodbye.
Yeah, she didn't even say it. Oh man, I hate you, Scott Peterson. You really messed me up now because I didn't get my goodbye, friend. She's mad. And I thought she was mad with other cases. Ooh. Woo-wee. She was upset. So I hope she figures this out. Maybe I need to email her this. Send it out on Twitter and be like, I think this is a difference innocence project. Because I mean, I forgot to tell you guys earlier. When I showed you the other one, they had like 1,000 followers like on their which it doesn't matter, but I mean, it kind of does on their Instagram. And this other innocence project, like the real one that I think is the real one, they have 495 K. This is for wait, this is for Twitter, and then no, that's Instagram. Oh, that was Instagram. Sorry. 495,000 followers on Instagram. And then on Twitter, like they're just so much bigger, 166K followers compared to the other one had 200 and some. Like it's just not mathing. So yeah, right. Tell us how you really feel, Nancy. I know. No, I know she really hates Scott Peterson. And so when I heard all this was coming out, like I was like, oh, I want to hear what Nancy thinks of all of this, because I know growing up, the cases that Nancy was in my home for, and OJ was a big one, and Scott Peterson was a big one. And OJ, I was very young. I was like 9, I think, when that, I want to say 9, was it 94 or 96? I can't remember. If it was 96, I was like 11. I was between 9 and 11, we'll say. But I was pretty young. And I only remember that case so much because my dad recorded everything on the VHS player, like the whole trial. So we didn't watch anything for like 6 months or whatever. I mean, that trial went on forever and a day. It seemed like it could have been 2 weeks, but it really was longer than that. But you know what I mean? Like the whole frenzy we watched, because you couldn't change the channel back then if you were recording something on the VHS player. If y'all remember that. Yeah. So we didn't watch anything for a long time. And so, like in the living room anyway. So then my, when the Scott Peterson case came out, like my dad was really into that case. So he must have really liked I'm thinking he liked Nancy. I know my mom didn't like Nancy until after she had her twins. So she told me, she's like, I liked her after she had her twins. But it must have been a thing. And my eye switching again tonight, guys. This is so weird. But I am going to jump off here. I don't know if you can hear the steaming happening still, but Vincent's steaming the floors. He's steaming it with like, not just like the mop head, but with like a device. So it's like making a steaming sound. So 95. Oh, I was in the middle. I said 94, 96. Wow. So it probably started around 94. OJ was, okay, 94. Yeah. And then trial probably started 95. Okay. But man, like I was young. Still young. Sirius Black, thank you. She said, yes, honey, you don't look old enough to remember either of those cases. I do, though. I do. Just because my daddy made me. He really didn't. I think I've always liked true crime. I've told you guys on the channel before, Unsolved Mysteries was my thing. If I could skip school to watch it, I think it was at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning. I need to figure out what time it was on. If I could get out of school to watch it, I would. My poor mother. my poor mother. I just was always wanting to like watch true crime stuff. So she'd be proud of me if she knew. And if my dad was around, he would definitely have a YouTube channel. 1000%. And you guys would all be subscribed to him because he'd be way cooler than me. He'd be way cooler at it. He would like play you guys like songs and stuff. But if you guys like tonight's stream, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll see how this stream goes. And if it goes pretty well, we'll do another stream on this, and I can even read some of the documents because some of the documents are insane. So, wow. I thought okay, that was weird. I was like exiting out of stuff, and then I didn't see the chat for a minute, and I was like, uh-oh, did I just exit out of StreamYard? That was weird. Thank you, Jean. Well, it was good to see you guys all here. It was good to see you. I'm talking about the original, the OG CJK. That's what I'm talking about. Robert Stack. Then I forget the new guy's name that came in. He was good too, but Robert Stack had the voice. You just had your second child, lady? Aw, congratulations. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, congratulations. We're missing some of our little babies. We have a couple girls that have had kids in the chat. They must be taking care of them babies because they haven't been in the chat for a while. So I'll let you guys know in the community post tomorrow about my dentist appointment. If anything goes crazy, if they do end up having to like pull it, I will get a permanent put in. It'll just take time. If they can do a permanent because of the metal here, because they might not be able to drill down to do that. It just depends. It's all about, I guess, placement. But I'll let you guys know. If nothing else, I just won't be on camera for like, maybe a little while until I get my just my face feeling better, because I might be a little sore. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Most likely, y'all know you'll see me. You never know. Maybe I'll do I don't know. Maybe I'll do live during the day. If I don't know if Vincent's taking me to the doctor yet or not. But if he does, then I probably won't. But if he doesn't, then I probably will. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Bye, guys.